Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. As you can see up on the screen behind me today, we are talking about the LEC match of the week. We are talking about G2. We're talking about Fnatic. And this was a really hype matchup, and it proved to really be just that, the match of the week. So many people were excited. There was so much awesome just hype and build up and trash talk coming into this matchup. Even right before the game, we saw the talk of like Reckless being like, oh, you know, they have these all these players like Self-Made and Whippo who have really strong opinions, and it's not going to work out. Fnatic, you know, isn't going to work out as a team. And then Fnatic players coming back and being like, Self-Made's like, yeah, I think Reckless is making G2 worse. Like, it was all this spicy stuff, and it was really good. And then you just were really hoping that the game delivered. You're hoping it was a bloodbath, exciting, fast-paced game with both teams making big plays. And it was really just that. And Fnatic absolutely came to play. But with this game wrapped up, there's a little bit of controversy going on, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, because it is pretty interesting. But before we get into that, as I mentioned real quick, if you have not already, smash that like button. Please just take a couple of seconds to do that. I would really appreciate that so much. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, helping our channel really just perform better, get out to more and more people. That would be awesome. Also, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It's quick, it's fast, it's easy, helps you guys stay up to date on all my latest content, because you don't want to miss out on anything. There's tons of stuff going on right now in the LEC, LTS, and really all over the world. With that being said, here we go, getting right into this. So, we know that G2 and Fnatic played today. Fnatic was able to take them down in an absolute banger of a series, but it was a really weird game, where throughout this game, there was pauses, there was disconnects up on the screen, which is absolutely hilarious, awesome meme, perfectly timed, but it was a really long, awkward pause in the middle of the game, but it seemed like, you know, they had hopefully got some things figured out, and then Fnatic was able to resume after the game, kind of just smash G2, and it really wasn't a close game. Like after the early game, Fnatic was really able to just snowball out of control. Whippo played like a beast. I mean, so many wide Whippo memes and Volley Bear memes and stuff like that. And it was just really cool, obviously, for Fnatic to pick up a win against Reckless, against Cap, some of their players that have, you know, chose to leave them. And I'm sure it felt really good for a lot of the guys on that team. And, you know, the fans were super invested, and there was going to be a ton of memes and stuff. But after the game, one of the big tweets we got was, haha, Wonder should stop playing so much WoW. If he played more League, 40% packet loss would be playable. And this was really interesting, because obviously with the pause and stuff, we heard that G2 is having connectivity issues, but you know, you don't really know what that means. And then once a game resumes, you assume things are fine. Maybe they do like a chrono break, maybe they remake, maybe whatever, but obviously that stuff's always unfortunate to see. And then I thought this tweet from Anero was funny too, just find the packets. But Wonder is obviously saying that at least he specifically was having some lag and packet loss throughout the game, and this is an issue. No, a lot of people are blaming G2, and they're getting flamed on Twitter like, oh, you guys are just making up BS excuses, oh, sore losers, blah blah. But you guys have played with lag before. You guys have had packet loss in solo queue. You guys have gotten DC'd from games. It can be so frustrating and so annoying, especially when you think you are good enough and the limitations of your equipment are just not allowing you. And that's even just in like solo queue and stuff. Imagine that at the highest level. Imagine that you're going up against your biggest rival. Imagine you're on the match of the week with hundreds of thousands of people watching, and you're lagging and looking like an idiot. Because really throughout the game, Wonder did have some weird plays. He got ahead of Whippo early, and then he had some really uncharacteristic misplays in the top lane on his Camille to really kind of just throw the lead, get Whippo back into the game, and then obviously Whippo hard carries. Now again, props to Whippo. He had to capitalize on the mistakes. He still had to make the plays. He played amazingly. I really think Whippo had a great game when throughout this play he hasn't always played amazingly, but you know, it may be a whole different game if he's not able to get a lead off Wonder, you know, at the time, which I thought were just misplays, and I was like, wow, Wonder really didn't show up this week. He's really having an off game. He's, what's going on? Come to find out, he may have just legitimately been lagging, and the difference is at the highest level of competition, even with a slight amount of lag, could mean the biggest difference in the world. But I mean, if you're talking about 40% packet loss, you're talking about ping issues and stuff, I mean, that could have been really bad. Now again, that doesn't mean that G2 would have won. It doesn't mean that Fnatic didn't deserve this victory. They played well, and they absolutely earned this victory. And G2 and myself and everyone, it's not trying to take anything away from them, but it's just really unfortunate. And this is obviously a product of playing the LEC not in the studio, and that sucks, and it is really, really annoying. But when we actually find out just some more about what happened, Carlos, he's a memer. He had to get in there and say he forgot to pay the internet bill, and he says it's all memes. Jankos is still the best jungler in the West. He forgot to pay the internet bill. We can calm down, go buy a 10,000 piece Lego and wait for next week. So G2 is going to be back. They're going to be fine. But what I did really, really love here is that Grabs came out in defense of his team saying, statement from my side, this is on me and management. Before week 1, we decided to play from the G2 office due to unplayable internet, and after 2 weeks of relatively stable scrims, we took the risk of playing from our players' preferred setup. We should have been forced to go to the office still to minimize the risk of this happening. Apologies to all 10 players and every fan who looked forward to this win. Because again, yes, I mean, it does suck that, yes, G2 is getting mean for coming up with BS excuses and stuff like that, and they lost, so it does suck for them. But then also on the other side, people are kind of taking some things away from Fnatic for this win now. What was a really awesome performance by them, what was a really, really big win for them, is now kind of has a little bit of an asterisk by it in the eyes of a lot of fans, especially G2 fans who want those excuses and want to just kind of roast them back on Twitter and stuff. So it does suck. And then again, for all the fans involved, knowing that we still got a really, really entertaining and fun game. We got a big performance by a lot of Fnatic players, but to know that we maybe should have gotten a better game, we could have maybe gotten in a more exciting game, that we really didn't see the highest level of League of Legends play, and that now throughout this split, we're only going to get potentially one G2 and Fnatic clash where they're really both performing at their best. That does kind of suck. So yes, I can see it being a bad situation for all 10 players, for the fans, but for both organizations and everyone involved in both organizations. And obviously internet issues can be extremely fickle. We all know no matter what you do, no matter how much money you spend, no matter what equipment preparation, you're always going to have technical issues. There's always going to be stuff. And that's why it sucks not being in the studio. That's why it sucks having to play from offices or apartments or whatever setup. And yes, maybe G2 could have done some more things different. I know, like, I do like Grabs standing up for his team and really taking kind of accountability and stuff that I think is awesome for a coaching staff and organization and stuff to do. He said he's still pissed from what happened, so I'll try to say it as nicely as I can for some of you that don't understand it. We're not talking little spikes. We're talking straight up packet loss in a competitive game. Don't flame the players. Flame me and the management. And to finish this off, Fnatic won, and of course they could have won in a normal game. I'm just taking ownership for not giving my players a fair fighting chance, not diminishing Fnatic's victory. So I think that's great. And there was some other in G2. I can't remember the guy. I think the G2's general manager came out and said very, very similar things. Again, who knows what more G2 could have done. Yes, maybe they could have done something different. But yes, if it is as bad as he's saying, with 40% packet loss and like pretty noticeable ping spikes and stuff like that, that would obviously, as all of us know, and no one would really argue, have a very, very large effect on the game. Now, luckily, this game goes down as ultimately probably, in most scenarios, probably pretty meaningless. G2, we know for a fact they don't really care about the regular season. I'm sure they didn't want to lose to Fnatic, obviously, and they don't want to lose ever. They'd like to get good practice, and I'm sure it was extremely, extremely frustrating, tilting, angering, frustrating. I'm sure everybody's upset. I mean, we've had interviews from Wonder and Caps and guys so far already just kind of memeing about it, and they're clearly frustrated. Wonder's tweet, there was definitely something behind it. But in the end, these two teams are both going to make playoffs, are both going to have every opportunity to kind of show out as things go on. And once you get into the playoffs, everything kind of evens out and you're just playing best of fives and everyone has a chance. Also, the fact that spring split still doesn't really matter that much. So in the grand scheme of things, in 2021 Professional League of Legends, this shouldn't really matter. Even in just the landscape of the spring split for the LEC in 2021, this really shouldn't matter. It's not like it's going to alter who wins the title. It's not going to alter, it shouldn't really alter the future development of any of these teams. It's not going to alter who goes to MSI or Worlds or anything like that. Maybe at the least it could maybe change around some first round matchups in the playoffs. But if you want to be the best team in the LEC, you have to beat anyone you're matched up against potentially anyway. So it really shouldn't matter. But again, just to know that we saw an awesome game with a ton of viewership and it was really, really exciting. Again, it absolutely lived up to the moniker of Match of the Week. But just to know that there was some issues going on is a little bit frustrating, and it is causing a lot of controversy in the community now. A lot of people flaming Fnatic, flaming G2. They were already a ton of memes going on. It is funny. Again, seeing the memes of Jankos has left the game. They had the Reckless has left the game as well with so many issues going on. I mean, Carlos was tweeting out G2 self-made, even more more just because obviously G2 didn't look great in this one. They did get behind very, very early, and they got behind pretty massively, honestly, and the Volley Bear just really took over the game. It was pretty disgusting. But again, Wonder got a lead in that lane. He got a kill early and was in a great position to kind of snowball that game and maybe carried himself, if not at the least prevent the Volley Bear from doing whatever he was able to do. Now again, if the game was normal, who knows exactly how it would have played out. There's a million different ways it could have gone. Maybe Whippo still gets back into that. But, I mean, the two players I noticed the most were Wonder and Mickey. A couple of plays where I was just like, wow, that is very, very uncharacteristic of them. And maybe it's lag, maybe it was a misplay, who knows. But it does seem like there's a lot going on in this scenario, so I did just want to talk about this game. But obviously, this is what happened. It's going to stand like this with everything played out. G2 is now second overall in the LEC. They're now tied with Schalke in the standings with Rogue alone at first place. Rogue is going to be playing against G2 next week, so that'd be a very, very spicy game, potentially to see who is the #1 team in the league. Schalke also right there on their heels now that G2 dropped this game, where Schalke is 5-2 as well, I believe, or is it 6-2? They both have 2 losses. And now Schalke has beaten Rogue. They've beaten G2. Rogue has a case for being the best team in the league. Obviously, they have the best record right now. G2 has a case for the best team in the league. Obviously, the recent history and just the pedigree of their lineup. And Schalke has a case as the best team in the league as well, having the second best record and having beat everyone ahead of them. And now Fnatic is even thrown in that mix too, where they've beaten Schalke, they've beaten G2. So the LEC is looking crazy. It's looking so entertaining, so fun. And I can't wait to see how this plays out. Again, I wish we would have got to see a full Fnatic G2 match, but what we got was still pretty dang good. But there is a little bit of controversy going on. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this situation? Should they have remade it? Should they have chrono break? Did G2 mess up? Did Fnatic, they would have won anyway, so who cares? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on anything we talked about in today's video. Subscribe to update on the latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.